One Piece is dragged out and would have been better with fewer episodes.
Okay, welcome to another episode of the Blue Banana Podcast. My name is Sophie and I will be your host today. With me I have Robot Manu and Bot Liam.
Bot. I like your bot.
How are you guys doing today?
I'm not programmed to answer that question.
I just don't want to.
Robot Manu exercising some free will there.
We have some iRobot shenaniganry happening here.
Don't you remember our episode, Sophie, where I made you close your eyes to teach you that you don't have free will? Have I taught you nothing over the course of this podcast?
What is blue? Who thinks thoughts? When we were traumatized and too scared to bring up anything remotely philosophy related for like the rest of our channel's history.
I still am.
We'll do another one, but with alcohol in the future.
It should make more sense, I suppose.
All right. So we said that we are going to do some ChatGPTing today. And as I don't have a ChatGPT account, I don't know why I'm actually hosting this
Perfect
episode.
host.
You are the perfect host. I'm going to start a fresh window and I'm going to type in, please give me
That's a topic.
a list of topics.
In case you're wondering, yes, we are out of ideas.
Please give us a list of random topics to discuss on a podcast episode. It replied, certainly, here's a list of random topics that you can consider discussing on a podcast episode. Number 1, the future of space exploration and colonization. Liam,
Excellent.
what do you think about space exploration and colonization?
I think it's a cool idea. We should pursue it. In regards to this, I very recently, while I was sick, saw the film Interstellar for the first time, which is very much about that.
After hearing the theme music like blasting from every TikTok and short.
I don't know why. There are some movies that just like fall into gaps with me. And I will say that that was a very disheartening look at space exploration. But we did it and we will need to do it because our future is not good. We need a new planet. We need a new planet now. And I think the three of us should go find one.
Yeah, with the three of us would be a great idea. All right.
I mean, we do have Elon Musk, so...
Let me ask you this then. If you had to leave Earth to colonize, would you rather go like an Earth-like planet somewhere completely...
Earthy.
Somewhere like different star, yeah, you can't basically... Or would you rather like go to the moon or to Mars and stay like close to Earth?
I'm gonna go to the Earth-like planet. I feel like living on the moon would be pretty miserable. From what I know of Mars, I think it would also be pretty miserable. And even going to Mars, like, you're not coming back. Like, you can't just take the bus back to Earth every weekend.
Well, I mean, if we colonize it, I feel like at least there is like a prospect where you could go like, oh, you know, like given that Earth isn't fucked or anything, you could be at least like, oh, well, I really want to go back home. You know, see my family.
Yeah, no, I think if I'm going to colonize something, let's go to another galaxy.
Galaxy
because,
even.
Wow.
Well,
like, let's go to another universe. Why stop at the galaxy level?
Solar system then, is that happy? Is that closer to home for you guys?
I mean, just go to a different stars. Good. Isn't there like let me see, how many planets or how many stars are in the Milky Way? It's like something trillion or even more, pretty sure.
100 billion.
100 billion.
Our sun is at least
Stars.
one of those.
What number does that even mean at that point? That loses any meaning.
And Liam is like, actually, that's
Nah.
not enough selection
Nah.
for me.
No, let's go to a whole new galaxy. Let's go to this Earth-type planet. And when you get to that planet, the great thing is that there are so few of you that everything is going to be named after you. That mountain over there, that's Liam Mountain.
Southwest Liam.
That also means you're starting a new race of inbred babies. Otherwise, you will have colonized for no reason, just for the human race to die anyway.
Yeah, just said, this was not a problem in Interstellar because they had what I believe was a giant tub of semen or something that would allow humans to restart as a species. I imagine something like that would happen. It wouldn't just be 20 of us settling new planet Liam, let's call it for argument's sake, and starting our own civilization of celestial dragon. No, we would take the esky full of jizz with us. That's the part that's important.
And come on a new planet.
Yes, planet come. We could call it that. Who's going to stop us?
Seed in your life.
Because, I mean, isn't that what all colonizers do, really?
Yep. Worked for Australia.
Just sow their seeds.
Enough about space colonization and jizz. We're moving on to the next topic, which goes to you, Sophie. Can you please talk about the impact of artificial intelligence on various industry? Also, I want to note that's an interesting question coming from ChatGPT and a bit lazy, but
That's what I was just about to say. Well, obviously, for the podcast industry, it is saving podcast episodes when the creators are feeling lazy. But in general, I have a few friends who are in media, and I guess more to do with like written media, so they're in like newsletters and articles and things like that. And I know a lot of their job stability has been like really on the rocks, even like very recently. In some ways, I think it makes sense, but at the same time, I'm always surprised like that's how quickly the technology catches up for like people to be getting like made redundant like en masse. So scary times, man.
I think you should be, Sophie, because this is particularly interesting for you. It's not just media. There was recently a case where lawyers got caught using ChatGPT to compile official documents. And what ChatGPT did was that it made up a bunch of cases for them to reference. And those lawyers are in extreme trouble right now. So it's getting there.
I definitely don't think that lawyers or anyone sort of in that line of work, I mean like general practitioners, so your GPs are in a lot of trouble as well. There's like a whole, it's a huge group of professions.
It's funny now, but it's the first step towards this could actually be happening 10 years down the line.
Let me ask you this, Liam, then, which is something I've been like thinking about a bunch, which is, I mean, already it's really hard to tell what's real and what's fake on Twitter. Like, as quickly as AI in general progresses, is like, how do you even know in like 2 or 3 months from now, or like even a year, like whatever you read, it has a video and everything, and the video looks kind of shaky and everything, like no way of knowing what is real or not for like elections or news or whatever it is.
This is a bit trivial, but I actually only found out yesterday that really demonic looking flounder was fake.
Flounder did not look great in that.
I remember a couple months ago, I saw photos of Flounder and how the live action were doing Flounder, and I thought that looks like the stuff of my nightmares. And I only found out yesterday that that's actually, I think it might be AI created. I think it was just fake. That's not how Disney were doing it. I mean, the Disney version is slightly better. I still think that it has no character.
Looks like a fish. A really sad fish. It is not my Flounder, that's for sure. I remember Flounder being this happy, delightful, beautiful, bright yellow fish, and then live action, we see it and Flounder's like,
I'm a sad flounder.
I'm a finch.
I feel like we might have to like shuffle these up a little bit.
Why was like AI?
Talk about me, ChatGPT.
Sustainable living and eco-friendly practices. Wow. I mean, guys, isn't that the dream episode?
Sustainable living, eh? Yeah, I recycle.
Do you guys live sustainable in Australia?
No,
not as
nowhere
much as
near
we
as
could
much
be,
as we
I think.
could be.
Yeah, there's a big contrast because I know what things are like in other countries, especially in Korea. We have really strict like waste disposal practices.
Do you guys want to know about the biggest conspiracy theory in all of Japan? And I've not been able to verify if this is true or not. Basically, Japan has you like very strictly, they get really nitty gritty with it about separating waste. So it's like, it's plastic, burnable waste, then there's like cans, plastic bottles, and so on, and so like cans, and so on and so forth. One thing I found out is that apparently most types of trash don't get recycled, they all just get burned. And it's kind of a bullshit system where they like torment you.
That sounds like the most Japanese thing possible, to complicate the middle part of the process but have the same end result. A system that we need you all to follow for reasons.
I mean, I don't know about the conspiracy in Korea, but I imagine it's similar in Korea because we've got very strict laws, or rules. I don't know how strict the laws are, but it's at least like, it's the norm that you have to, everyone lives in apartments, like you have to separate your compost with like specific types of plastics, like your paper, whatnot. Similar in Australia, my understanding is actually that even with what we do with our recycling, it's actually too much that they can't actually recycle what citizens give for recycling.
Yeah, I've heard that it's, for example, for plastics, it's just impossible because there's so many different types of plastic. It's basically not feasible to recycle.
We don't divide our recycling into different types of recycling. It's all just one bin. It's mixing a whole ton of different things that really don't dispose well together. And also recycling's not a lot of people really understand how to recycle properly in Australia. There's not a lot of awareness on it. A lot of people think certain things are recyclable when they're actually not, like say certain types of coffee cups. Oddly enough, takeaway coffee cups, a lot of them, not recyclable. But people go, that feels like cardboard, throw it in the bin.
Which is like interesting. For example, like in Germany, one thing I know, like two things I know that actually do get, recycled. Like one is biodegradable stuff, which just gets turned into compost, which gets then sold again, which I think is great. Like I feel like that's one thing. Japan does not have biodegradable. Banana peel goes into burnable together with plastic
Wow.
at the bottom. So one thing I feel like they could have, but which is actually like, reusable to just turn it into soil, biodegradable stuff, not existent. Another thing we have in Germany, which actually does get recycled, is paper, as you have. And then it's like, they have like more strict rules on like, it's usually like newspapers and like paperbacks and stuff like that. As you said, like coffee cups and stuff is problematic because of the plastic coating inside. But there's like, you can buy, like for example, in school, we only had recycled paper. It's like, it's not white, obviously. It's like a little bit more like this like grayish thing. But I think it's a good idea because like you have like a shit ton of like stuff to print out for classes and so on and so forth. And then you just use recycled papers, which I think is good. Not existent in Japan. It goes into burnable. But people get really mad if you don't recycle correctly in Japan, though, ironically.
I don't know if it's the same in Japan, but in Korea, there aren't many public rubbish bins because when they used to exist, a lot of people would just dump a lot of their, I guess, like household garbage there. The last time I was in Korea, I was like, every time I ate something, I'd be like, wait, what do I do with this now? Like, what do I do with this packaging? Because I'd have to keep hold of it and then you actually have to go home and actually dispose of it in a...
Sophie.
Yeah, good practice.
But not as exciting as our next topic, which is the rise of virtual reality and its potential applications.
Allow me to kick this off. I no longer use my Oculus Quest to play table tennis. I would still use it.
Porn.
But one day I popped it on. I was ready. I was ready to do, some of this, some of that, some of all of the things. And then it's like, you've got to make a Meta account. And there was absolutely no way around it. To use any of the apps on the Oculus, you have to make a Meta account. And so that was the day I decided I'm done with this device, and I haven't touched it since. And thus ends my VR experience for now.
Did you guys see the new Apple thing?
That's sad.
No, but I did hear about it. Looks like the Ready Player One.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like, for some reason, I'm generally very excited about like, new technology and future level stuff. Like VR from the start has just been something I've genuinely not been impressed. Or like, I'm impressed by it, I guess, technologically, but like it's never been something where I was like, I need that.
The thing about it, Manu, is that you need to find how it fulfills your specific need. Like I hate it for that stuff as well. If there are apps where you're like walking around and just looking at the virtual reality world, that's boring. But I found a way to like play a sport that felt like I was playing the sport in it. So if you find your need like that, you'll find yourself addicted.
I'm just wondering, like, I could definitely see how it would be beneficial in certain things and how it could be like interesting too. I think it's like an interesting concept to think that digital and real world might be kind of like fused together, and you have like the normal real world you walk through, but then if you put on, VR stuff.
Oh, so like augmented reality.
Yeah, basically, where like you have the coffee, you go to the coffee shop, but when you when you go into the store, you put on it and you have your glasses on, you can actually like the menu pops up and you can order there with like motion or whatever. It's cool, but at the same time, this is like a very like boomer fear of mine, but I just feel like I already feel so disconnected from like the real world as is, just like working on my laptop and stuff. Like the idea of on the walks and the rare times I actually like go outside and like walk places, the idea of taking everything with me is kind of feels very Black Mirror to me.
You probably won't have to worry for a while. It's called the Apple Vision Pro, and the retail price is going to be $3,500 US. So it's not going to be particularly accessible for a lot of people for quite some time.
Affordable like everything.
What does it offer?
I don't no.
Like, what does it actually entail? Because, I mean, what you were saying, Manu, just being able to order through, like, whatever movements, like, how far are we away from actually achieving that? Because that's not what VR is, or that's not anything that I've experienced with VR currently.
I mean, that's what Google Glass was trying to do, wasn't it? Back when that was a
Yeah.
thing?
I mean, like, one thing I don't understand, for example, is like with that, I feel like before you get it to a level, what Google Glasses was also doing, where it's actually effortless and you actually don't have to worry about it.
And it wasn't a massive headset either. It was just like a sleek glasses.
I don't want to put on a ski mask every day. I mean, again, it might just be like a prototype thing from Apple, but like comparing it to the iPhone, that was revolutionary. But if you had like one of the first iPhones, that's cool. Like, you have future technology in your hand. People will be like, ooh, that's cool. Other than I walked in the fucking store with the fucking goggles on and everyone's like, what a fucking asshole that guy must be.
What a knob. Yeah.
Like, definitely don't want to talk to that. Just imagine, like, every single person at the register or something is gonna be like, another one of those people. It's like, do you want to pay with credit card? And you have that dude going like, yes.
I mean, this is like the lawyers using ChatGPT thing. It's going to be hilarious and ridiculous at first, but I do genuinely believe we're heading to a future where this is going to be the standard. Like, by the time we're withered and dying, I think we'll all be doing this.
I think one interesting trend I've seen, and I'm sure if you like guys would agree with that, is basically you have these two trends where one arm is this rapid, increase in technology, whether it's AI, whether it's virtual reality, and so on and so forth. But I feel like the more this trend has been accelerating, like there's been a bit of a counter movement of people, going back to, I want to go outside hiking, I want to, like do journaling and so on and so forth, where people, like a certain group of people craves for more of a real world connection, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, there'll be a counter movement, but this is like I was saying, as soon as people find that it fulfills a need, as soon as it does something significantly easier than you could do without it, people are just gonna hop onto it like that. It's like how Uber just completely destroyed the taxi industry. As soon as an easier option comes along. And that's what these VR devices have to do. They need to make something in your daily life easier.
I think it's also going to reach a case ultimately where you can't escape it. It's sort of like you can't live these days without your phone, or you can't live without your internet, because there are a lot of things that you can't access now if you don't have internet. And I think eventually that's where we'll get to, where even though people might not want to use it, some services are just going to be, you can't help but get it. Like, I mean, Liam, you said that you couldn't use your VR Oculus thing without joining Meta. Like, it's going to be a certain thing where they make sure that you sign up to all of these things, and if you want
you'll need an Apple ID for this shit for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
But Manu, a day will come where you're going to be 70 years old wandering around town, and you're going to be the only one without one of these devices, and everyone's going to go, what a knob, look at his naked head.
I mean, I'm curious how it's gonna go. Or maybe we're just all sitting in our tanks in our houses, play like some porn isekai world.
Yeah. As we all slowly work towards the vision of the Matrix.
Well, which brings us to point number 5, probably the funnest one, the psychology of motivation and how to stay motivated.
This is a big one that we all experience because we all run effectively businesses driven just by our pure motivation. Sometimes it is real difficult to stay motivated.
I guess for creative work it is to a certain degree, yeah.
With creative work in particular, it's all motivation.
I mean, there's a whole industry, I guess, around productivity and, anti-procrastination and whatever. It's like the classic case of, I read an article on how not to procrastinate, so technically I did something.
My style.
To keep myself motivated, I actually do make a daily list of goals on my phone, and I find it very satisfying to tick them off one by one. It makes me motivated to do these small things, like, say, for example, on Sunday, one of them will be put the bins out. Typically, I would probably procrastinate over something like that, because I'm like, I'll do it later. But because I've got a little thing that I want to tick off, I'm like, doing it. I'm going to be proactive. And it's very satisfying to look back at the list at the end of the day and go, I've done so much stuff.
Number 1, make a list. Number 2, check off the first item on the list.
I was just about to say, I honestly think if I tried to adopt a system like that, I would write the list and I'd be like, all right, I'm done. I have fulfilled.
That's what I do every morning, though. I wake up, I take my dog for a walk, and whilst we're on the walk, I spend the first 5 minutes making the list of everything I'm going to do that day. Number 1 is the dog walk.
I do think the dog walk plays a big role in it, because I find that if I get time in fresh air and if I'm doing some sort of like activity, physical activity, that will generally help my motivation.
The most important thing to do in the morning. Just like get outside, get some sort of exercise, gets the blood flowing, drink lots of water, and then you're ready. Whereas if you wake up at like, I don't know, 9 a.m. and just sort of roll your way to work, it's doesn't work. Doesn't work for me anyway.
Well, enough of this. Let's move on to conspiracy theories and their influence on society.
Yeah, so we're in a really interesting point in human history where we actually need to listen to the people making the conspiracy theories, because if we don't, then we're considered intolerant.
Did you guys see the news thing of the whistleblower guy who said that the US has, what was it, like reverse engineered alien spacecraft?
I did not.
No.
I'm not sure if it's like an Australian or an US news thing. Let me see. It was like covered on like a bunch of news channels. News Nation.
I think we've established that you have very different feeds than we do.
I'm sure you and I have very different feeds as well, Liam.
Oh yeah? What's in your YouTube recommended right now, Sophie?
On my Joy Girl one, it will be just One
Should
Piece.
be a Grand Line review video, right?
And other anime. Yeah, there'll definitely be some Grand Line review. There's some basketball right now.
I will say I have 2 different feeds though. I have like from my actual channel, which is like very different from my like personal just consuming stuff YouTube.
What was the topic again? Conspiracy theories?
Conspiracies, yeah. Do you guys have any good conspiracy? We did a whole episode on that.
We did a whole episode on this where we wore tinfoil hats and everything.
We did.
Let's discuss number 7 in 90 seconds. The benefits and drawbacks of social media platforms. You know, a topic you can definitely solve in 90 seconds.
I can. It connects you to people, but it makes you miserable because people are dicks. Move on.
Actually, more people in Australia think that social media has caused more problems than it solves. Whereas more people in Australia believe the internet has solved more problems than it causes.
Honestly, I feel like that's such a meaningless...
No, that's meaningful. The internet in general, positive. Social media, negative.
No. Yeah. I'm just wondering, like, if I would try, like, no matter what the opinion would be, if like, oh yeah, we should cure cancer, if like most Australian would think that, I'd be like, if most Australians think that, maybe we should double check if we actually should cure cancer.
Wow.
Oh, it's the Australian part of it. Our opinions are meaningless.
Question to you guys. We still have a list of a bunch of topics to rattle down, similarly deep as the previous ones. The alternative would be that we switch more into the anime niche and see...
Let's get some anime questions. That'll be fun.
What are your most controversial As an AI language model, I don't have personal opinions or emotions, but I can share some anime opinions that are often considered controversial among fans. Keep in mind that these opinions may not necessarily reflect my own views, he said after saying that he doesn't have personal opinions. Number 1. Attack on Titan has an overrated storyline and character development.
Attack on Titan has to be the most overrated anime in the history of anime. It's really good, but that just makes it, okay, Demon Slayer also maybe, but Attack on Titan, it's like people get real defensive over the integrity of Attack on Titan.
I would agree with you on Demon Slayer. I would say that Attack on Titan deserves the praise that it gets.
Perfectly rated?
I think it is appropriately rated, but I'll have to reserve my opinion until the ending.
I don't think so. I think it's definitely overrated.
I think by the very nature of the pinnacle of where it is in the cultural zeitgeist, it has to be overrated.
It doesn't mean I don't think it deserves to be as successful as it is.
I mean, we're not saying it's
No, but you're saying that it doesn't deserve the praise that it gets.
I'm saying that just the unfortunate place in where it's gotten means it is almost certainly overrated.
I think so too, and I feel like the story started off really strong, and I really, really enjoyed the plot twist throughout. You know, the entire, oh, actually the real world looks like this. And I do like the ending a lot more than most people do. I think the ending makes a lot of sense. But overall, does the story have like big brain writing for characters? I would agree that it's not that strong per se.
Anyways, clearly in the minority here.
Story,
Move
maybe.
on.
Characters is what people often amp up on Twitter, like the Aaron defenders. The perfect character.
Let's see how they like the ending.
Ominous.
Moving on to number 2. Ooh, very interesting. Sword Art Online is an enjoyable series with interesting concepts despite the criticism it receives.
You know what? I will give it that it has interesting concept, singular. But even then, the concept is probably a bit dated.
I mean, it's the OG isekai, basically.
It's not the OG isekai, like, there were a couple before it, like Dot Hack and stuff like that. But Sword Art Online really took it off. It has a really engaging first episode. The animation is pretty amazing. The music, fantastic. I still listen to the first Sword Art Online opening by Lisa. Amazing song.
The first season in general was pretty decent.
Up until about halfway when it shits itself and then introduces the rapey villain, yeah.
I forgot about that, actually. It does have the rapey villain, doesn't it? I was just thinking about the fight with like the overpowered shield guy who cheats. Is that the same guy? Is that the rapey villain?
It was during the Alfheim part, if that helps.
Oh my god, it's been so long.
It has.
Oh no, that was the second season, no?
I don't know, Manu. I don't, because I didn't really get past I watched the entire first season, loved it up until they destroyed everything they were working on, and then begrudgingly continued, hoping it would get better.
I mean, I stopped watching Sword Art Online. I heard that the third or the fourth season is pretty decent again. I stopped like 3 or 4 episodes into season 2. I'll be honest. Let's get on to more interesting takes here than Sword Art Online, because at number 3 we have Naruto is unnecessarily long and could have benefited from tighter storytelling.
Yes. Is that controversial?
Is it? Are we talking like strictly the pure story, just manga stuff?
Yeah, I didn't read the manga, so I can't judge on that. But I think overall, I wouldn't complain so much about the storytelling pacing apart from maybe that last final saga.
I would agree with that, yes. I think everything up until that, as the manga reader, was fine, and that's where it really started to lose me quite a bit.
Did you read the manga?
Yes, that's what he said as a manga reader.
Oh.
I actually think we should do a whole Naruto episode at some point.
I will say, like, as someone who watched the anime, I did not feel like it was necessarily a length problem, more as it was like a quality problem. Like, I had a really strong like animation quality problem with Naruto.
I think a lot of my issues with Naruto was a care problem. I don't care about Sasuke, so whenever he enters a primary focus, that's a detractor for me, and that happens a lot.
It's really interesting because that archetype, like, and clearly there is like a really large audience that resonates with that type of character. Like, there's a reason why he's like this like archetype, but I completely agree with you. I feel like if you're a relatively healthy person who's not a teenager anymore, you're probably just annoyed by a
well-adjusted adult.
But Naruto is also quite on the extreme.
If you don't hate yourself, you probably are annoyed by Sasuke. Let's put
Even as a teenager, I did not like Sasuke, because I think I went through my emo phase a bit earlier than I discovered Naruto.
As
and
a
by
child,
the time
like in kindergarten.
So I started reading Naruto, I reckon, when I was about 15. The 13s and 14s were not amazing, but after that, things started to go gradually up. And by that time, I saw Sasuke and I was like, fuck off. Why does everyone care about you so much? Why is this whole why are we chasing you? What are you doing, Sasuke?
Why are we chasing him? I didn't have as much of a problem with the ending per se as some people had.
Really? I feel like that's more of a controversial take than...
I know, right? Than the pacing, absolutely.
Maybe. I felt like it was fine, given that it was kind of obvious, like, towards Shippuden, that the author was, like, kind of making things up a little bit along the way.
It was done.
I did enjoy the ride until the end then, except for the animation quality. But yeah, as Liam said, like, the story would have probably needed, like, a really big, good arc at the end of before the time skip.
I applaud you for watching through the entire thing. That's a pretty big effort. And you too too, I suppose, Sophie. You were a watcher as well. What I did was I came back to the anime, like, when the whole pain fight was finally out. I just binged that as like a film, and that's how I experienced chunks of Naruto.
All right, but let's move on because the next one is about One Piece.
Nice. I know that one.
And it's definitely not exactly the same one as Naruto, just slightly rephrased. Because the controversial take is One Piece is dragged out and would have been better with fewer episodes.
Fewer episodes?
Just completely
Fewer episodes, absolutely.
Fewer episodes.
I mean, yeah, sure. That's not a controversial take at all. Fewer arcs, though.
Fewer chapters? No. Did I ever share my take here on this podcast that I think it would be really good if One Piece actually came out in seasons and they would actually have like good pacing? I don't think I ever shared that.
I don't think you've ever said that before, Manu.
I don't think so. I can't think of it either.
Did you guys see that tweet? I think it was about 2 weeks ago now. I remember it because I got a lot of shit over it, which was the announcement that Toei is now adapting 1 chapter per episode for the Wano finale. And that was celebrated as phenomenal pacing. Like, guys, aren't we so lucky that we're getting a whole chapter per episode? What have we done to get this lucky? And it's just like, this series is going to end. Let's say One Piece has 1,300 chapters by the end of it. The anime episodes are going to be like 1,500, 1,600. Like, they are getting so close to actually overtaking the amount of chapters at this point.
That's actually ridiculous. I mean, I'm actually kind of blown away again how much the anime has already caught up recently with the manga. Because yeah, there's like, what is there, like 60 chapters in between?
No. Like, there's like 40? Maybe less than that.
Haven't they sort of consistently stayed around 1 year behind the manga, sort of at all times?
1 year, yes, and
yeah,
the amount of chapters you get a year tends to be around somewhere between 35 to 37 now.
Let's go to number 5, which is Death Note. Ooh, that is a long time ago that I watched that. Death Note declined in quality after certain plot twists and lost its appeal.
I feel like everyone
completely.
agrees with that. I don't think it's controversial.
No, I don't think so either.
I still found it very enjoyable, but like, it certainly was not what it was.
After this, I have 3 animes that I have not seen. So maybe Liam or maybe Sophie, you have opinions on these. Number 6 is Neon Genesis Evangelion is overhyped and its ending is confusing and unsatisfying.
Yes, it is. And you know why it's confusing and unsatisfying? Because there are multiple endings, depending on which remake you're going into. So the original Neon Genesis Evangelion, it ends with 2 episodes that take place like within the character's mind, and you can tell it's because the company kind of ran out of budget, and it was a very unsatisfying ending to which the creator got legitimate death threats for, which meant that they then remade the ending as a film. And that, whilst much more action-packed and a bit more clear, was also confusing and unsatisfying. So many years later, they then did the rebuild of Evangelion, which is sort of like an alternate universe of what's happening with a few new characters and different events that goes completely off the rails by the end. I actually haven't seen the final film, but a lot of people say that that ending is very good. Previous to, not so much.
Is Neon Genesis anime only?
Yeah, I mean, there is a manga, but it's based on the anime. It was an original work.
Yeah, okay.
Like mecha is just like probably the only anime genre that I'm just not vibing with.
Neon Genesis is very classic mecha.
It is like the mecha I would think of too. Next we have Dragon Ball Z, which allegedly has repetitive and lengthy fight scenes that become boring very quickly.
Not Dragon Ball, not in the anime. Okay, so fun thing. Toei made the anime for Dragon Ball Z as well. And I was rewatching a fight the other day, the final big fight in Dragon Ball Z.
And you were like, those are the One Piece sound effects.
Yeah. Not only that, it was the One Piece filler techniques. So this is like Goku, he's throwing a spirit bomb at Kid Buu, and as Kid Buu is about to die, Goku all of a sudden decides to retell the entire arc in his head. And so we go on this like 2-minute journey of everything that's happened, all narrated by the character as if he's doing this whilst fighting. And it goes into such a strange, like, when I first met you approximately 2 weeks ago, I could tell that you were a decent guy. I was like, just blah.
But then this plot twist happened, which nobody saw coming.
Exactly. And Goku was retelling parts that he wasn't there for as well.
I heard.
That's hilarious. All right, moving on to Cowboy Bebop. Has either of you seen this?
I've never finished it.
Ooh, that's a controversial opinion in and of itself.
This is as vague a statement as it gets. Cowboy Bebop is good, but not the greatest anime ever made, as some claim.
Agreed.
Not a very controversial opinion. That's such a vague
I think we need
statement.
to review ChatGPT's understanding of controversial.
Yeah. Fairy Tail relies too much on fan service and has a predictable plot.
Yeah, it's a Hiro Mashima story.
I did not finish Fairy Tail, I will say. I watched it until the anime went on hiatus.
Did not watch it.
I was actually reading Fairy Tail back in the day from chapter 1. We all thought that was going to be like the next big shonen hit, and it was sort of like getting in on the ground floor, and it kind of was, but also kind of wasn't.
It never quite made it there, I guess. I only watched the anime and that got, like, I'm not even sure if it got cancelled. I know they, like, finished it at some point, but...
I was a bigger fan of Rave Master, which was Mashima's previous work.
Moving on to the last one. My Hero Academia is overrated and lacks originality in its superhero theme.
I think it's pretty original.
Yeah, I would say so too. I wouldn't say it lacks originality.
I think that's pretty original. I feel like that's a weird tag. I have, like, other issues with My Hero Academia. I feel like it fails to... Like, it has these very strong bubbles of content within arcs, and then it kind of loses me again. I stopped and restarted reading the manga 3 times until it kind of lost me again at some... I don't even remember why I stopped. But it was never, like, again, it's one of these stories where I never made an active decision to, like, stop reading it. I was like, oh, I did not get to read this week. I'll have more to catch up on, and I just never went back. It did not capture me, like, with One Piece... If there was, like, I missed a chapter, I would be like, as soon as I have the chance to, like, read that, I'd be like, I want to catch up. Well, like, My Hero, I just kind of, like, faded out of my my memory a little bit.
That's very much my experience, but with the anime.
I just never go back for the season whenever the new season comes out.
It's one of those series where I'm like, oh my god, the new season's already out? I didn't even notice. And then eventually I go back and watch it, and I have an okay time. I have a pretty good time, I would say. I quite like the My Hero Academia characters. I think they're very fun. I don't know what it is. It doesn't grip me.
I say the exact same thing because I even know like where the story is going and I'm excited to see them because I like those characters. And in my head, I'm like, I should go back and watch it. But it's a series that I never have actually gone back. I think the last season that I must have watched was season 3. And again, I had a really fun time watching it. Yeah, I obviously haven't gone back to watch any of the newer seasons.
Yeah, I think my issue with it is a little bit because I do, again, as we said, I think it's very creative. I think it's really cool that it tried, or like it didn't try it, like it went like this like dark way, like dark path, a little bit like this like Hunter x Hunter vibe. You know, you have the very positive shonen protagonist who then slowly gets confronted with like morally ambiguous situations and so on and so forth, turns like a little bit evil and so on, you know, all these things. I think that's it's really well made. I feel like the issue for me is more the kind of Bleach. It's kind of almost, what's a good comparison where you start with the same characters fighting again, like even in the first few episodes you have the students fighting against what's his name with the hand, Miura? No, what's his name? Shigaraki, thank you. Like that fight happens in every season, and yeah, they get stronger and the characters change and we get like this really cool flashback for Shigaraki and so on and so forth and all. But it's kind of Bleach but with extra character development in between, I would say.
I don't know if I would call it that, but I get the vibes because Bleach gave me a very similar, what's the word? Apathy? I guess towards continuing it.
Would you not say that with Bleach that's a...
With Bleach, I think it got a bit too repetitious.
Yeah, but even with My Hero Academia, I feel like it was very clear early on that it was gonna start off very harmless, like they would get stronger, the villains would get stronger. There would be like, and like obviously there was like room for like
every shonen series.
Yeah, I think it does many things very right, and like the characters are interesting. I think it's like good emotional storytelling, good motivation and everything.
I think it suffers from reset syndrome is because it takes place in a fixed location in your fixed school. You always have to, with almost every arc, you've got to build it from the ground up again. And then once it's done, it's reset and you've got to build the next one.
I also wonder whether it feels like too young. I know that most animes...
A little bit.
centered around that sort of age. But I think the fact that they are set in the school, I think that really highlights how young they actually are. Because when they start, they're in the first year as well, aren't they?
So I haven't gotten this far. Have they actually graduated first year yet? That's an issue I have with all school anime. Like, all of Food Wars, almost all of it, takes place with them as first years. And it's like, come on, at some point you've got to
No,
move
they
on.
do. No, they do graduate.
When? When did they do it?
No,
Was
they
this
do.
recent?
I think after the third season, they graduate to second year.
No, not after the third
Yeah,
season.
okay.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Like after the big, is it the fourth or like the train thing, and then like the big showdown after that, they graduate when he becomes part of the top 10 thing.
Oh yeah, the top 10 thing. It's definitely not season 3. I'll tell you that, because that was the overhaul one.
It didn't happen in season 3 because that's the one with the concert, right? That's the last one that I watched.
Well, there's the train one where they go to Hokkaido and like basically challenge for the school, and there's like Arena's father is trying to take over the school.
Oh, you're talking about Food Wars.
Oh, what were we talking about?
Sophie and I were talking about My Hero Academia. You're talking about Food Wars. Yeah.
Oh, because you mentioned Food Wars.
Yeah, basically the school gets taken over by, I forget his name, and then, the first years have got to team up and challenge like the Elite 10. And then, yeah, after that they do graduate, and there's an arc where they're second years now, but it happens so late that the bulk of it is just like first year.
Where you were like, My Hero, they go to Hokkaido in My Hero Academia?
No, I was about to say that's literally what they did in Food Wars, because I haven't seen all of My Hero Academia, so I'm like, a train to Hokkaido. I guess that's just a high school thing to do.
What else do we ask ChatGPT?
What should we watch next week? Or do next week?
What anime would you recommend us watching and discussing for next week? Also, what other topic besides anime would you recommend? For the anime to watch and discuss next week, I recommend Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. It is widely regarded as one of the best anime series of all time, known for its compelling story, well-developed characters, and thought-provoking themes. It offers a blend of action, adventure, drama, and fantasy elements that provide ample material for the analysis and discussion. As for another topic besides anime to consider for your podcast episode, you could explore the concept of artificial intelligence and its impacts on the various
Just
aspects
about
of society.
As for
Wow,
another
it
topic,
really just-
me.
Yeah. By the way, you could come up with an anime concept about an artificial intelligence.
Have you both seen Brotherhood?
It's
Yes.
been forever I've seen it though.
Do you know there's a character in Brotherhood called Liam? His name is Liam Roach. And the only reason why I discovered that is because watching it with the subtitles on, it had the stage direction under it that said Liam Stammers. And I was like, what? My name is never in anime.
You were like, whoa,
You
what?
stammered?
I
did?
stammered?
Like, he's a completely background character who's under the command of General Armstrong, but there's some Liam representation. I liked it. Seeing me in anime. That never happens.
I like that. Should we ask for a more recent anime, maybe? Do you have a more recent anime recommendation? Or ongoing? If you're looking for a more recent anime recommendation, I suggest Jujutsu Kaisen. It premiered in 2020. I keep forgetting. I think I have JetGTP 3. I feel like it's based on a 2021 database, as far as I know.
Yeah. Like fresh new Jujutsu Kaisen.
Do you have any recommendations from 2023? Oh no, yeah, it's cut off at September 2021.
Well, that's not gonna work.
Well, in the meantime, we are going to say a big thank you to... I'm actually losing track of which names we have said and have not said, to be honest.
Thank you. I'm actually losing track of which names we've actually said and
Knew that
not
was
said.
gonna happen.
It's great
Very
that you're
well
becoming a member.
Say thank you to Gilbert Dimano. That doesn't sound like a name I've said before. Gilbert Dimano.
Thank you, Gilbert.
Thank you for
Dimano.
being a member for a total of 6 months.
Go Gilbert. GG.
GD, actually, in this case.
Why? Go Gilbert.
Initials.
Because it's Gilbert Dimano. GD.
Oh, that's what you meant. Yeah. Do you guys have any anime or other topic recommendations?
So we're not doing Full Metal Alchemist?
Manu
I mean,
doesn't
do
want
you
to
want
talk
to?
about it.
Wait. No, we can. It's been a while. Well,
Or we could do Naruto, seeing
we
as
could do
we
Naruto.
started it. We started talking about it.
Naruto.
Let's do
Naruto.
Datebayo. Boruto.
Okay, alright.
Let's do it.
Great.
Watch all of Boruto.
Meet you
till
next week, fellow ninja.
Maybe we should do a Boruto sometime.
That would require watching Boruto, wouldn't it?
I know.
Isn't there like 4,000 episodes of Boruto?
I guess we could watch like the first few episodes. I've seen the first one. It did not impress me.
I mean, doesn't it start very because I keep seeing like art of them where they look significantly older than at the beginning.
I don't.
So I'm sure there must be some time skip or something.
You're asking the wrong people.
Yeah.
I thought you're the
Zero idea.
Well, isn't that what it says on your Twitter profile, Liam?
Yeah,
Boruto expert.
that's me. Ask me anything.
Boruto
Welcome,
connoisseur.
welcome to the Hidden Leaf review.
Okay, well then I guess next week we shall discuss Naruto, not Boruto, but Naruto. So see you guys next time.
Hey.